So we need, okay. Hi there, this is Elizabeth Clare Brewington with Elton. We are with the author, Sue Tidwell, and she's written a book on Cries of the Savannah. So if you haven't seen part 1 of this video series, we'll make sure that you have a link and you can watch it right after this video. So, hello, Sue. This is an amazing book because I almost feel like we're on this journey with you. And I love the way you've described the Masimba Camp with the women, you know, carrying their water, and this dining hut made out of mesh and all this excitement. So tell us a little bit about the camp, and then we'll move to the next part of the book.
Okay. Well, Masimba Camp was actually the women with the amazing things on their heads and stuff, that was in the city of Arusha when we landed in Arusha. So we were only there about a day, but it was just a city bustling at the seams. But then we took a 2.5-hour charter to get to our Masimba Camp, which is actually Swahili for lion camp. So that's what Masimba means, as lion camp. So it's very remote. It was even 4 hours from the nearest village. So that shows you how remote it was. So we had 21 people there taking care of 4 of us. So, I mean, I never thought of myself as spoiled, but I can tell you, I was pretty spoiled in Tanzania. But it was just amazing because Masimba Camp was very primitive. We had tents, and then above our tents, we had like grass huts that covered the tents for shade. There was a solar system. There was one generator that was able to run an ice machine for a couple hours every day so we could have ice cubes.
Sure.
But you know, all the cooking was done over fires and home fashion grills. Our water came from a literally 3-foot hole in the ground. If you look at the book, there's a picture of it, but there's a literal hole in the ground that they dig into the Mozambique riverbed. You dig into the sand and then water filters up. And so that's where they got all of our water from the entire camp. So once you learn, you know, we take so much for granted as Westerners. And, you know, once I learned what was involved in me having a shower, I mean, it's so funny, but it took me several days. They had a little, behind our tent, they had this little bathroom built with a toilet and a little shower and a little sink. And there was a big water tank on top of the scaffolding to produce this water. It never occurred to me how that water got up there, but that water, I learned, was up there 1 bucket at a time, you know, and it was heated. It had to be scooped out of that little hole in the ground. It had to be heated over fire. It had to be carried up that scaffolding so that I could have a hot shower. Well, needless to say, you start thinking differently about your showers and that stuff when you realize the work that is involved in it. So it's just a whole different, you know, and the people, they were just so welcoming and happy and generous, and I just can't say how much I fell in love with the people enough that I got to meet there. I started learning Swahili because I had time with Lillian. So Lillian would teach me words. If the guys are busy or something, she would teach me words. And then of course, once, because I would try to ask, you know, I would say, thank you, asante sana. And I would try to say things in Swahili to them. And then of course, once they knew I was on that, then they were trying to teach me too. So I was learning all next thing you know, I had everybody trying to teach me Swahili. So it was really fun. But
I don't need to put you on the spot, but you want to say a word in Swahili? That was my next question.
Okay.
But yeah.
Lala salama means sleep well. Asante sana is thank you. Mahiji tajamiri, I might have said that wrong, but may I please have some water? Tembo is elephant. Pundamilia is zebra. Pofu is eland. So I knew I learned all the animals, but I love those Swahili words. They just kind of roll off your tongue.
Yeah, they do. They sound beautiful.
Yes, they're beautiful words.
Yeah. So I see that you want a question?
No, I have a couple, but I'll let you.
I see from the book that there's a lot of wildlife in the book, and I've seen. I mean, we talked a lot about the lions, and I myself am very fascinated with elks and the bulls, and then you've had zebras And so tell us a little bit about the few animals that caught your eye. And I know there's plenty in the book. So for any animal lover, this is a great book. So yeah, I see there's a lot of different wildlife. So tell us a little bit about the wildlife and some of the names of the wildlife that you saw.
Well, hippo, which is kiboko
Yes.
in Swahili, was one of my favorites, you know, and there was a pool of about 100 feet of water left in the riverbed, about 300 yards from our tent. So there was about 20 hippos living there. And so you could hear the hippos all the time. And I learned so much about them. And then we even had one move into, you know, hippos, first of all, to talk a little bit about hippos, you know, we think of them as these roly-poly, gentle animals, but they're very dangerous. I mean, hippos are just, they're dangerous animals. They kill over 500 people a year. They're just, it's just another thing we just don't comprehend, you know. And to show my naivety, you know, we had an afternoon off and I said, well, I'm just going to take my book and go up by the hippo pond and read my book. Well, you should have seen the fuss that caused, because there's no way they're letting me go up there without an armed escort. Because first of all, I was thinking, oh, I'm up high on the rocks, the hippos will never get me there. But they're like, well, Sue, don't forget the lions come in to the water, because the game comes in, drinks, so the lions come to the water also. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, you have to be on you have to be on your alert all the time there. You can never let your guard down in Africa. You have to always be thinking. And they watched out for me so well. I mean, I literally couldn't go 20 feet in that camp without like them being there and watching what I was doing. And so you got to get complacent. You know, you kind of start feeling like they have your back, which they do, but you still have to be smart. And but yeah, we had a hippo. He got pulled. Him and the big guy must have had a fight, and he was, you know, got kicked out of the hippo pool. So the only little bit of water that was left was the puddle in front of our tent. So we had this hippo move into the puddle in front of our tent. So he was only half covered. But Lillian assured me that this rainy season was coming, that he would survive in that amount of water for a couple weeks. But because we were worried about, you know, the hippos need to be in water, and he had been kicked out of the big pool. So, but anyway, so we had to be real careful of our tent. When we went outside, we had to be, you don't ever want to get between a hippo and their sanctuary, which is the water. So that's where you can get into trouble. So you have to be really aware of them being around. And Jewel, who I fell in love with, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
No, go ahead. This is
your. Let me tell this kind of fun story. So Jewel, which was our, I guess you would call him maybe the maitre d' of the camp, but he was just, I just loved him. And he told the best stories. But one time when we were gone during the day, he had been doing some chores back behind the grass huts. And apparently a warthog came in to drink, because we could sit there at the dining hut and watch, you know, the animals come in. But anyway, a warthog came in to drink and didn't know that we named the hippo Willie, which that's what Americans do. We name things. So we named the hippo Willie. The warthog came in and didn't know there was a new sheriff in town. And Joel was right back there with them. And when the warthog got too close to the hippo, Willie comes lunging out of the water with those jaws open with those big tusks, and of course scared the warthog. The warthog ran and almost ran Joel over. I mean, it turned out this whole big thing and scared Joel to death. But anyway, he survived and nobody was hurt. But it just shows to show you, if you're not aware of every moment, something can happen there. I mean, it could have ended very differently for people, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
So now to kind of put the context to this, the experiences for you were cutting edge, and they were moment to moment. And just the fact that, you know, you were in this environment that, you know, it could be totally exhilarating, could turn catastrophic. And moment to moment, there's always an experience that you have to be aware of. And now you're walking along, oh, look at the cute hippos. And then, and then you're walking between the water and the hippo, and the hippo doesn't see you, all they see is the water.
Yeah.
And see, those kind of dangers. I mean, and you sound like that's why you have the 42 people to make sure the things that you don't see, they see, and they're aware of. I mean,
Wow, this is such a great story. Yeah, and my next question is, what was the food? What did you have to have a diet, or was it or were you just sitting in a car, or was there any physical? Did you need a certain diet or anything?
Oh no, we ate really well. I mean, I can't tell you how we had Moses was our cook and Kayumba was his helper. And the food they produced in that kitchen, which was an outdoor kitchen. When I say kitchen, I'm talking some stones and some fire and some pots over pieces of wood burning. I mean, so it was just amazing. But in order to keep less and entice less animals coming in, they didn't grow any food there. Since it's a camp, when we went to Arusha, they brought all the vegetables in. They would buy vegetables in Arusha, which helped spread money to that part of Africa. And by not having gardens and stuff, now you're not enticing those kind of animals in to cause trouble at the camp. So we had vegetables from there, what they had brought in, and then all the meat was meat that was harvested. So when someone harvested an animal, we ate, that's what we ate that night. And then the rest of it was dried. So like, since there was no refrigeration and we were 4 hours from the nearest camp, we couldn't just take it to a village like a lot of African or a lot of outfitters do. So we had they had clotheslines and it looked like socks. Like it was just lined with dried meat. So they would, dry it for future use to take home to their villages and stuff. But yeah, we ate, everything was just delicious. The soups, I don't know if I want to know what's in them, but they were the best soups I have ever had in my entire life. My husband, Moses and Kayumba even let Rick go into the kitchen with them and try to teach him how to make it. But I don't know, he never duplicated it. So,
you don't know what was in it.
So you ate actual live harvested meats and foods on a regular basis. This was things that you got from the actual village in the jungle. Huh,
I ate buffalo tail soup.
Uh-huh.
I even tried buffalo tongue,
Okay.
which
you were ambitious.
Well, you don't, when it was kind of funny because by then we really kind of knew each other pretty well. So they'd served me that buffalo tongue. And of course you don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give it, a chance.
Right.
So I took a bite and the taste was actually very good, but I couldn't get past the texture.
Mm-hmm.
And then my face must have said it, because then they all just started laughing and they gave me something else to eat.
Okay.
But at least I tried it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But when
I grew up on a lot of tongue. I mean, my
Did you?
My diet once a week at least we'd have a tongue curry, and so it was a very popular dish. And I loved it. It was delicious. So yeah, it's a cultural thing, I think. But yeah, this is exciting. So my questions are pretty much, I have one more, but you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know a little bit about Tanzania. We work with the trade division consulate. And of course, I mean, I don't know where tourism ranks on their travel or the trade category, but of course they big diamond rich country, Tanzania, they do a lot of trade in diamonds. But when it comes to tourism, I imagine that it's a pretty popular country for people who travel from all over the world. So, in that, wow, I mean, is it an idea that you think that might have value for more Americans to travel to Tanzania perhaps?
Oh, absolutely. I recommend that anybody that can travels to Tanzania or any of the African countries.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they all have something special to offer. And, and right now, especially after COVID, they need us more now than ever.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
It's not only people suffering, it's the wildlife that suffered, because a lot of anti-poaching efforts got depleted. Those outfitters were trying to get people paid during that time, but it's been a rough time on Africa too, as you well know.
Yes, yes, we've got a person in Kenya that attends our club, and he tells us all about how difficult it is. And I have a wildlife photographer out of India who just came back from feeding his tigers, which he said they were starving, and some of them needed to have water and things like that. So yes, we've been hearing a lot of these stories. So yes, do your part, donate, contribute, go on a safari and help the wildlife. They are in great need. I totally agree. Now, my final question is, where now? I mean, I think that one of the things we had talked about over Christmas was that you wanted to make people more aware of this wildlife thing. So where now? Where do you think this book is going, and what are you doing to promote it? And I know we're going to do a lot with this book. I love the book. So yeah, so definitely visit our website. So yeah, tell us where now.
Well, I'm just going to try to, I am an independent author. So, and I, funded this all on my own, and I don't have a huge platform. So any help getting it out there is really important. I'm just passionate about helping people understand that there's just many things we can do for Africa. It's not, a lot of people think that photo tourism is the answer, but it doesn't work everywhere. And people need to understand that, because that was kind of one of the things that I thought, why can't we just protect animals with photo tourism? Well, it just doesn't work like that. And if you read the book, you can understand you'll learn all these, there's so many things that's too much to even get into, but essentially, the sustainable use of resources makes habitat viable in its natural state and gives it a reason to be protected like that. But not every tourist wants to go to these really remote areas, like where we were at, tsetse fly infested, bumpy roads, hot, those primitive, not every tourist would want to do that. So it's important that they have all kinds of tourism. Photo tourism is important. Sustainable use of wildlife tourism is important. We need it all. So Africa needs it all, I should say. Right. But anyway, as far as the book goes, I just want people to, I would love them to read it with an open mind and to talk about it with their friends, spread it to other people, use it in book clubs, do whatever, just to kind of, they will learn from it, but they will also have fun. I think did you find that as you learned, you also had fun reading the book? So hopefully that's,
Yeah, I thought one of the things I like that you've got so many animals in the book, the wildlife in the book, but I also loved the people in the book, like Lillian, and you've got her photo there. And I thought that was very interesting that you had named all these people that you met. So it was kind of like a big community. So I thought that was kind of like very special about the book, that you brought us right there to the spot. You described the environment so perfectly, and you're a great storyteller. So I think it's a fabulous, and it's very easy to read. It's a very big book, but it's not difficult to read. So you can really read it and enjoy it. I highly recommend it for people who want to travel, if you've got this on your bucket list, if you're trying to get out of COVID into a more positive attitude, if you want to get empowered. Several reasons why I think you should read this book. So I'm going to end this interview.
Hold on. Any more? Question, toward the end of your travel, the 3 weeks, and you got a few more days before you have to head back to the major town, what ran through your mind? Is it that we're finished with the trip? You know how like a tourist, when you go someplace, there's a list of things that you want to do before you go. And you retrace that a little bit, if you could, unpack it.
But for me, it so much wasn't the list of things I wanted to do. It was knowing that I was going to be saying goodbye.
Take a minute.
People that I came to really care about. And when I left Tanzania, a lot of these people, a few of them live around Arusha, but a lot of them are deep in the bush and villages, and chances are I would never see them again. So saying goodbye to somebody that you feel so close to that you may never see again is very difficult. So I hated knowing my time was coming to an end, and it was just very difficult knowing that this thing that had awakened me basically and had changed my whole point of view was coming to an end. But luckily I am still in Lillian, luckily, because of she's still a game scout. I do converse with her through WhatsApp and internet and stuff. And she helped a lot with the book. If I forgot something, she would, remind me of the name of the river, for instance. And so she was instrumental in making sure everything was, right. And I've even talked with Joe and Raphael and some of the others too that have access to, it's harder with them, but they don't have regular access to internet. But once in a while I get to, chat with them on WhatsApp. So.
But you can exchange letters with them, I'm sure, right? Do they have a mail system that you
or
could
email or?
They probably don't get the
I
email.
could, for email I do with like that group that I just mentioned, but like Mogo and some of the villagers, like our trackers, they don't speak English. I know it may sound weird that you develop a relationship with people who don't even speak the same language, but there was just a connection there between me and the trackers when you spend so much time together, and the kindness that comes from them, even though you're speaking the same language, but maybe not to exact words.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the fact that I tried to learn their language meant a lot too. And, he would bring me little gifts of tufts of lion hair, porcupine quills. And, it was just wonderful little gifts and wonderful little things. And they would stop and teach me about a tree or a plant.
Yes.
And so anyway, I think it would be a lot harder. Like, I don't know how. I know Lillian got to go back to that camp several years, 2 years later, I think, and she got to see them all. And she told them that we're still in contact and told them about the book. So they were all happy to hear that. But I haven't actually had contact with some of them. So maybe someday.
Any ideas for you and your husband to go back?
We are planning on a trip, but we're probably going to go to because that's the thing. Be prepared. If you go to Africa, you say it was supposed to be a once in a lifetime. It's never once in a lifetime.
Right.
You
wanna
cannot
go
go.
Yes.
You can't go to Africa and not go back. So we've been
Right.
saving our money,
Mhm.
and we're going to go back, but we're going to go to a different country to experience something different. Not that
Sure.
we didn't love Tanzania, but you
Sure.
can never kind of recreate that first experience again. So we're
Yeah.
going to try something different.
I have a friend of ours who went to Africa. He went to Kenya, actually, to the Peace Corps. And he
Okay.
made so many great friends that he went back last year and just saw the people that he met, and they kind of gathered together. And it's an amazing thing. So,
It really is.
and so the experience, and you have lifelong friends, and that kind of connection can't be replaced. And it's an amazing experience. So I see how you felt about it. I see your, the closeness that you were able to capture with the people that were there. And that's phenomenal. And that's something that could inspire other people who might be interested, as you put it, it was a life-changing experience for you.
Yeah.
And that's phenomenal.
And I really think that this is a must-read book. It's going to be on our book list. It's going to be in our catalog. So it is going to be everywhere. So get this book. You won't be disappointed. And thank you, Sue, for this wonderful interview. And you're watching brightsideglobaltrade.org.